Excuse me.
Excuse me. Tell everyone you've ever met right now, 'cause the bitch is back. Yes, the bitch is back.
Let your Buffy and Angel comfort content begin. Welcome to The Bitch is Back with Charisma Carpenter, powered by Patreon. The Bitch is Back is a first watch podcast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff, Angel. Why am I calling it a first watch, you ask? Because I have never watched either show despite starring in 147 episodes combined, and the fans kind of demanded it. I've read all of your comments. And if I've learned anything about this fandom over the last 2 decades, it's that community is everything. And I'm so here for it. People, the bitch is back. So, The Bitch is Back show title. Let's get into it. Why in the world would I name a podcast show called The Bitch is Back, using a slur against women, a derogatory phrase used to describe women who are what? Outspoken, focused, I don't know. They know what they want, clear, confrontational maybe. All of these words, they're not negative. They're amazing. And when I think about the word bitch, I think of a very specific time in Cordelia's life, actually. It was on Angel. It was season 1, episode 5. The name of the episode was called Room with a View, starring Beth Grant as this very haunty ghost who had taken over the best apartment in Los Angeles ever. It was rent controlled. Thank you, Doyle. And Angel wanted Cordelia out of his apartment, so he enlisted Doyle to find this apartment, and Doyle finds this apartment, and it's amazing, and I love it, and I move in, and I'm loving it, and then this ghost shows up. And slowly but surely, she starts wearing on me, breaking me down. And trigger warning, at one point, she gets Cordelia so down and out that she considers self-harm. And the scene is in Cordelia's bedroom, and she's down on the floor, and she's at her lowest point. And it's at that moment when Cordelia realizes, wait a minute, I am the nastiest girl in Sunnydale history. I take crap from no one. And she starts thinking and talking to herself and summoning within this courage, this strength of character. And she starts to slowly rise, and she meets Beth Grant, the ghost, and says to her, "You think you're bad and all mean and haunty, picking on poor Cordelia? Well, get ready to haul your wrinkly, translucent ass out of here and out of this place, because, lady, the bitch is back." And it was in that moment that I realized bitch is not a slur. Bitch is a moment, a defining moment of courage and strength and resilience. And that is why I wanted to name this podcast The Bitch is Back, because this is about courage. I'm terrified doing this. This is so scary. Creating something, putting it out into the world is terrifying, but it's also such a part of me. I love a challenge. I love being scared and then facing it head on. It's character defining, right? Like, do I have the courage to succeed? Do I have the courage to fail? Well, I'm going to put myself out there and try. I mean, what else can we do? And I hope to bring that essence of Cordelia to you. I hope to bring it out in you. I hope that Cordelia inspires you, because she certainly inspired me. So please join, please listen. And I'm so grateful to start this journey with you. Thanks. So, this new girl, Buffy, a total mystery, but she's got some serious I don't care attitude. It turns out she's the Slayer, basically the chosen one to fight vampires and monsters, because apparently this town's got a thing for the supernatural, like hovering over a hellmouth of demons or something. whatever. But Buffy is trying to act like she's not the prophecy girl. She's just here to survive high school. But let's be real. She's about to turn this whole town upside down. Vampires, check. Prom chaos, check. And me? Still the queen bee. And totally unbothered. Basically, Buffy is here to save the day, and I'm just here to keep my crown. Yawn. And scream bloody murder on occasion. Gregory Litley, I have no idea what happened to my brat green velvet, crushed velvet. They are very brat. I know that you would tune into that, right? I have no idea what happened to those pants. And I have to tell you, at the time, I just thought that that color palette or choice or pairing was so out of my comfort zone. But of course, the wardrobe designer, she's European. So, you know, I trusted and I went along with it. But I love that you're tuning into the very first costume that Cordelia's seen on camera. Wow. Sheer shirt. It was brown, yeah, with a little cami underneath. Yeah, it's very adult attire. I didn't ever see kids in high school dressing like that. For sure not. Buffy's outfit and the to-the-knee boot with like the practical heel and then the mini skirt and then the Cardi pairing is so cute and so chic. It's timeless, but it's also age appropriate, but it's also something more. And I think that perfectly outlines who she is, right? It's timeless, it's practical, but it's also something more, right? So I love the costumer. Her name is Susanna Puisto. Her name was Susanna Puisto. She was great and very chic. So to speak to the outfit that I wore in the bronze that night, so that dress was the dress that I wore in the first gallery shoot that we shot for the WB promos. And it was so tiny. I look back at that gallery shoot and I cannot believe it was about 2 sizes too small. And I was training like a crazy person. I'm a very athletic, or used to be a very athletic person. And my legs are so buff and the skirt is literally probably right under my butt cheeks. Which, you know, in your 20s, I guess you do that then. And the sleeves were like up to here and it was cutting under my arm and you could see like the outline of my belly. I'm like, that dress was too small. But I wore it anyway. I don't know. So guys, this is a lot of copy that I prepared to talk about Julie Benz. So forgive me as I read the teleprompter on this because it's a lot of words. I mean, she's a dear friend of mine. How could I just keep it simple? Have you met me? Okay, well, you haven't met me. Maybe most of you haven't, but you're going to get to know me on this podcast quite a bit. All right, here we go. Today, I will be joined by old friend and co-star Julie Benz, who once tried to bite me, Angel, season 2, episode 4, Untouched, who remembers, and steal my boyfriend, Angel. But all is forgiven now. She was in character after all. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because all of that happened later, like way later, like after years on the Hellmouth, a slew of slain demons, a blown up high school, a jailed father, and a move to Los Angeles later. I'm thrilled to announce that Julie Benz is the first guest ever on The Bitch Is Back. I chose Julie to be my first guest for many reasons. I'm going to try not to get emotional. As I told her in my text, this is literally what I wrote to her verbatim. You are bubbly, engaged, and talented, and your character happens to also be the first big bad we see on screen in the pilot episode. However, over time, your character deepens, and later we even see Darla vulnerable. I'd love to process all of that with you, actor to actor. And with that, she said, yes, exclamation point. And she also was sure to let me know that I didn't have to write her all of that she would have, no matter what, come on and participated anyway, which I really appreciated. So on a personal note, I've known Julie for more than 2 decades. Julie and I have watched each other grow up, seen each other through personal and professional highs and lows. We've been brokenhearted, have had breakdowns, and overcome so much, both as friends and as women. Julie is one of the most inspirational women I know. She's driven, disciplined, and knows what she wants. So who doesn't love a babe with purpose? I've probably never told her this directly, but she has quietly mentored me through personal and career challenges. She's helped shift my perspective on the audition process, for instance, by seeing an audition as an opportunity to act that day, remembering the joy of getting to do what we love. And she has shown me what commitment looks like, both to her craft and to her personal relationships. I'm grateful to call her a friend and to be joined with her and you all today. Now, as it relates to the podcast, I, again, wanted her to be the first guest because she is the first baddie the audience ever meets in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's blonde and seems vulnerable with her soft voice and shy demeanor, a proper damsel in distress, or so we think. In most horror films up until now, viewers are always thinking, oh my God, don't go with him. What are you doing? Why are girls so gullible? Because as an audience, we know that it's always going to end badly for her. Then whammy. The damsel in distress is no longer the victim in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She actually becomes the predator. This is a reminder from the onset that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is different. The girls are not gullible and trusting. Nay, they are smart, witty, well-dressed, and even a little dangerous. And it is Darla who sets the tone of the whole show.
Nice.
This is the new home for The Bitch Is
great.
Back.
It looks great. It's such a great name. I'm so proud
You like
of you.
it?
I love it. I love it.
What do you think The Bitch Is Back means? What do you think I'm saying?
I think it's like very powerful. It's cheeky. It's like in the spirit of not just you, who you are, but also in Cordelia as well.
Yeah, exactly. I also, I spent a lot of time writing copy for today's shoot. And one of the things that I ended up talking about, I felt like I needed to explain the title. And I wanted to, because really what I find, what was going on with, well, I don't want to name names, but the whole nasty woman thing that comes out, or like how women are often given these derogatory labels like bitch or nasty woman or whatever. And I felt like there was an amalgamation of things going on. Number one, I want to reframe that word. I want to claim it back. Like a nasty woman was turned around as being like, oh, I'm a nasty woman because I stand up for myself. I advocate for, marginalized groups. Great, I'll be a nasty woman then. Bring it on.
Yes.
And I love the bitch part being reclaimed or reframed because there was a moment in Angel, season 1, episode 5, Room with a View, where she's being taunted by Beth Grant, the actress, the wonderful character actress portraying Maude Pearson in the episode, where she's breaking Cordelia down and she's, she wants her out of that apartment really bad. And Cordelia's like on the floor, she's crying and, trigger warning, about to do self-harm, all at her urging. And at this one moment where Cordelia's looking down and on the floor and in tears, and she looks up and she goes, wait a minute. I'm Cordelia Chase. I am the nastiest girl in Sunnydale's history. I don't take crap from no one, And she just kind of takes it on, and she ends up saying to her, the last speech is like, you're going to haul your translucent, wrinkly ass out of here, lady, because the bitch is back. And that's kind of like what I thought. I was like, you know what? The bitch is back.
I love
Here I
it.
am.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you. And it's such, I was talking earlier with the team about how good it feels to feel so supported. And when I reached out to you, how I'd given you this big long thing about like why I wanted you on, and you're like, I would have just said yes if you asked me to come on. I didn't need you to go into all this.
You literally had me at hello. Like you had me at hello.
Another pop culture reference from Julie Benz. Jerry Maguire in the house. Thank you very much, Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise, for that. You had me at hello moment.
You had me
I
at
know.
hello.
Aww,
I was like,
thanks.
it was beautiful what you wrote, but I was like,
It's
you
true.
like, but I was going to say yes, right, like I didn't need all that, but thank you.
No, but I felt strongly about what I wrote, and also the fact that I've never seen the show, so when I went to watch it back, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's the first baddie on screen. You're literally the first baddie on screen that we see.
Yes.
And what I love, which I talk about in the podcast before I have you on the interview, which I'll just enlighten you now, is I talk about how, in every horror film before, we always see the girl be gullible and make really dumb choices that inevitably ends badly for her. And one more time, here we go. She's following this guy. He's going to take advantage of her for sure. And she's just like, I don't know, all sheepish and shy and like a true damsel in distress, blonde even, the stereotypical damsel in distress.
The Catholic schoolgirl uniform even made that even more damsel in distress.
Yes, exactly. And then whammy.
Yep.
I want to know, like, please tell me about that whole, like, I have so many questions for you, but just as it relates to that moment when you turn on the boyfriend and you go for the jugular to bite him as a vampire face, what was the makeup like?
Oh God.
The teeth? Tell me.
I still have so I did the pilot presentation. Do you remember that pilot presentation before we shot the pilot? So during the pilot presentation, I was the one they tested all the vampire looks on. And I remember having to go
Lucky
in,
you.
like, I know, right? Like 3 or 4 times while they were trying to figure out how, like, so I'd have to go in like 3 or 4 different days and get the vampire face put on just for a makeup test to see how it was going to read on film and all of that. I think I was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure I was.
I'm sure.
Minimal, not a lot.
Yeah.
But it was awful. Like, I'm not a fan of prosthetic makeup. But at the time, I didn't know that, and I really was excited to try it. But during the process, I became allergic to everything that they used on either whether it was the glue or the remover. Because when they remove it from your face, it's literally like ripping 7 layers of skin off. And repetitively over time, it was like my face got very irritated. They sculpted my piece very extreme, so my vision was kind of cut in half. And then once you put the lenses in, which was a nightmare because I'm not a contact lens wearer, so I had a really hard time. I couldn't see. Like, I really couldn't see. So the teeth were fun. I liked the teeth. I think I broke like 7 pairs of them because I grind my teeth so much. I would like grind on them and like crack them.
Did you have any prep time? I noticed that those teeth prosthetics are really difficult to talk and perform your dialogue in intelligibly. Like, how did you have any time before to practice your lines with the prosthetics in your mouth?
With the teeth? Yeah, I ironically, I feel like I have like I have a slight speech impediment without the teeth in.
What?
A slight, yeah. When I
Stop.
was in elementary school, I had to go to a speech therapist.
It worked.
Anyway, but I think when the teeth were put in, it actually corrected my speech. If that makes sense. Like
I literally was thinking, how come she sounds so good? She must have practiced.
No, I think it just like corrected whatever.
No.
Like, yes, whatever.
That's hilarious. That's incredible.
Then, sometimes they would have us ADR certain lines, obviously, without the teeth in, if the teeth got in the way.
Right. If it was too difficult to understand, I guess, right?
Because I think for some actors, they had to ADR a lot, their lines because of the teeth, whereas for me, I didn't have to do it that much.
Because you're the best. You're the
best.
best.
I have a speech impediment.
You do not have a speech impediment. I've known you. I've never heard you say that, and I've never noticed it. And I've known you more than 2 decades.
I know, but I have troubles. I have trouble with R's, L's, and S's. Like,
You just said it
really
perfectly.
I know, but there's a one word I won't say, and that is ROAR.
Roar!
Exactly.
You won't say roar?
I have a hard time. Very hard for me to say that word.
Just say cute. Roar. Oh my gosh. See, there you go. All right, so I have a question. Did you watch the show last night?
I did. And I watched the first episode, and then I watched the second episode.
And what did I tell you about watching the second episode?
You said I didn't need to do that. You said I was an A+ student.
I said you're the teacher's pet.
I know.
Because you over-prepared, and you're like, yeah, of course. Of course I am.
Of course.
It was hilarious. So I took notes when I was watching the show, and there's a couple of key things that I wanted to kind of touch on that aren't necessarily like Julie-centric yet, but we don't have to go into this if it doesn't really appeal to you, or if you have notes that you want to talk about, things that you've noticed or observations you made about the show. Like, one of the biggest things that I wanted to dive into was the look and feel of the show, right? It was Southern California. The actual town was called Sunnydale. So it was sunny, and in one of the opening scenes as we're going into the school, Xander is skateboarding in, which is a very kind of California vibe for sure. The language, the keen, and we're going to book it, and different words and stuff that kind of exemplified Southern California culture. Were there any things about that you noticed, or do you think that the show did a good job kind of like, do you feel like it made the show stand out at the time?
Definitely. I mean, it was 90210 still on the air at that time when it came out?
I don't know.
Or was it after? It was after. So we had that already kind of Southern California vibe on television between 90210 and Melrose Place. And so to me, it felt like a continuation of that. Like, the fashion was a step up from any other high school in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Did you say the fashion?
The fashion. Like, I think of the wardrobe, like what everybody was wearing is definitely very Southern California.
What was your favorite outfit of episode 1?
I loved your green pants and your black.
I can't believe you said that.
I love that. I loved it.
You did?
I did.
We were just talking about that. Gregory was saying that he thinks that outfit would still hold up today. And I was thinking, it's very brat. It's very, like, everything old is new again is a thing, I guess, apparently. But thank you. I mean, I have a Catholic schoolgirl skirt. Do you?
I don't.
You don't?
No,
I got mine from H&M recently.
Oh, wow. So I think, first of all, it would be too weird if I wore it in public, if I wore a Catholic schoolgirl skirt. And I think people would get really weirded out by me because that was so definitive of Darla. But also,
Oh, it is?
yeah, because
Oh, I didn't know that.
that's how everybody remembers Darla is in the Catholic schoolgirl uniform.
Right.
And they actually it was a real Catholic schoolgirl uniform that I was wearing. So it was quite uncomfortable. It wasn't
Stiff. I wore them for many years. Very stiff.
Yeah. Itchy. It wasn't like, I didn't feel that attractive in it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, you were and are.
But it was a step up. It was definitely a step up from the pilot presentation, because in the pilot presentation, it was a different costume designer, and that person had me in, it was awful. It was like black leggings and then this really sheer, like floral print oversized dress from like the 80s or something. It was really bad. So I was definitely happier in the Catholic schoolgirl uniform. Hi, Chris.
Well, it looked amazing. He wants to say hi. He's whining.
I know. I can hear him. Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris.
So one of the things that I heard was that there was a drinking game created around the wardrobe, where it was so common that the characters would wear spaghetti straps that our bra straps would show, mostly the character Buffy. So people would drink or do shots every time, the younger folks would do shots every time they saw spaghetti straps. Did you ever hear of any kind of appointment viewing parties that were created around Buffy, or any kind of drinking games? Did you hear of any of those things?
No, but that would have been so much fun. Be fun.
I'd be out after 2. I'm like, somebody roll me home. I gotta go. Do you remember, or did you have difficulty memorizing lines because of what came to be known as Joss speak? You know how it was that particular brand of writing that was so unique to the show that he would almost write a sentence, but it was like in reverse. So like what he meant or intended would be a direct line. He would go the back way to say that. Do you remember feeling like, oh, this reads different. This show has a different way or a style of speaking, and I cannot memorize this line because it's not clear what I'm saying. It's around the bend. Did you struggle with that at all?
I don't. I have a great short-term memory. I have a terrible long-term memory. My short-term memory is amazing, and
do you audition without your sides? Is it that good where you'll go into an audition and won't have your sides? I can't stand people like you. You and Emma. I had an audition with Emma for a pilot once called Play Nice, and we were both up for the part, and she didn't bring her sides, and I was so annoyed. I was like, I can't believe that you are so confident that you can walk into a high stress, high anxiety situation and trust that you'll remember everything when you walk in. That's incredible. That's more than just a good memory.
Yeah, but it's short term, because people will ask me for quotes or lines.
What's my birthday?
I have no idea. I know it's in July.
That's more than most. You remembered my dog's name. See, you remember.
I remember Chris. But like people will ask me for quotes from different shows, and I'll be like, I don't know what I said.
You don't?
No.
Oh my God, that's my problem. I have a good long-term memory and a terrible short-term memory.
Yeah.
That's just propaganda spouted out by the ugly and less deserving.
I can't remember a single line. I always say it's because I have limited space in my brain, and so it's like the information comes in, I spit it out,
that's
and then
what I
the tape gets erased. It gets erased, and then that's how my brain works. But yeah, I am the girl that on set you could rewrite a whole scene, and I know it after looking at it 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I bow down. Queen. That is queen behavior. Were there any notes that you had on the episode? Something that stood out to you?
I remember thinking when I was watching it last night, first of all, everybody's hair looked amazing. Like Buffy with like the French twist, her updo was like incredible. I was like, I love the hair. Your hair, gorgeous. Like
my
stunning.
ponytail.
Your ponytail. And I didn't know that Mercedes was in the first episode as well. She's in the computer room in the scene. Yeah, I didn't because obviously I didn't know her then and I didn't work with her. So that
talk
was
about
fun
hair.
To see her. I know.
Incredible hair. Amazing. And blonde. And so much of it. Normally blondes don't have thick horse hair like that.
Yeah. I had really bad hair in the show. They kept cutting my bangs because they needed my bangs to cover the seam of the prosthetic. So they kept cutting my bangs and I ended up with like the worst haircut ever.
I thought you actually had a great blowout. I felt like it was I liked your hair in it. I thought it was awesome.
It was very 90s for sure. But I do not recommend anybody getting that haircut today.
Do you feel like the 90s was like the best era, or what era would you say is the best era? Having now made it to 2020 and beyond.
I think, you mean fashion-wise or just in general?
I think just in general, like music, fashion, anything pop culture. Like, what was the best era, like, for you growing up? Was it the 80s? Was it the 90s, the 2000s, the aughts?
I mean, I think definitely the 90s resonate a lot with me just because that's when I went to college and then moved out to LA. I had a lot of big life changes during the 90s. I got married to my first husband. There was like a lot of big things that happened in the 90s for me, big events. So there's a lot that's linked to like music and like memories of that.
What shows were you on before you landed your infamous role on Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I wasn't really on it. I mean, I had done a sitcom when I was like 18, 19 years old called Hi, Honey, I'm Home. And then that was on ABC and Nick at Night. And then when that ended after one season, I went back to NYU, finished my degree, and then moved out to LA. And then I spent like 2 or 3 years. What year did we shoot Buffy?
I think it was in 96.
90. Okay,
and
so
then
or
95, and it aired in 96. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I did a TV series. I did 100 episodes of like a telenovela style show. It never made it to the air. But in 94, when I moved out to LA, I got cast in that. And I had to move to Mexico City for 9 months of filming.
Did you speak Spanish?
No. So what they did was FX was trying to bring the Spanish telenovela style to the United States. So they took a bunch of actors to Mexico City and they shot a Spanish version with Spanish actors and then a U.S. version with U.S. actors. And we shot on the same sets. So that we shot at Televisa in Mexico City. So I spent, that was like the biggest thing aside from the TV series when I was 19. I did that, but it never made it to the air because it was deeply flawed. It was they couldn't edit it together. We shot 100 episodes out of order, which was crazy.
I mean, 100 episodes takes 5 years to shoot. How much time did you spend on these episodes? A day?
Well,
was it like a soap opera?
Yeah, it was shot like a soap
couple of
opera
episodes?
Style.
Wow. Well, it's a good thing you had a good short-term memory.
Yeah. And it taught me the importance of continuity as well. I kept my own wardrobe continuity because nobody was doing it. And then that set me up That set me up really well financially because I got paid well for that. So when I came back from that show, it was pilot season, and then I think that's when I got.
Were you married
Buffy.
yet? Were you married
No.
when you were doing that job? No.
No. I met him right after when I came back. So, and then I think that's when I got on Buffy. And then I did a bunch of, I was like the guest star on every show for about a year. Like I guest starred on so many different shows, and just, it was like every week I was on another show. Another show.
I remember.
Yeah.
And you were doing you were working with incredible, I remember you were working with Steven Spielberg at one point when we were on Buffy or Angel. Didn't you do something with Steven Spielberg's company?
I did a mini series called Taken.
Yeah.
Because he was a Buffy Angel fan.
He didn't call me. Where are you, Steven? I'm available.
He had been watching TV with his kids, and he was watching Angel, and it was the episode called Darla, and he literally the next day, my manager called me and was like, "You're never going to believe who just called and wants to know your availability." And I was like, "Who?" And he said, "Steven Spielberg." And I literally told my manager, I said, "Shut the F up." And I hung up on him because I thought he was teasing. I thought he was making a bad joke. And he called me back and he's like, "Why'd you hang up on me?" And I'm like, "Because that didn't happen. That's mean. Like, why would you say that to me?" And he goes, "Because it did." I
would have fallen out of my chair. Get the out of here. Yeah. I would have lost my mind. But how cool is that to know? Because I remember when George Lucas came to this set of Angel, I remembered thinking, and he brought his daughter, and his daughter brought us all gifts. I still have the little candle that's screwed on, and you open it, and it was a mirror, like it was like doubled as a compact and a candle, and then like a beautiful like hairbrush, and it was just this, and a note. And I'm like, George Lucas is here on the Paramount lot watching Angel. Like, it's so shocking to me here that these huge famous people know the show. Like, it's incredible to me.
I know.
Who is like the biggest celebrity besides Steven Spielberg? Like, who have you ever, like, were you most surprised watch the show? Would it be Steven or anyone else?
That was definitely a huge surprise. Recently, I met Jennifer Beals, and she is a huge Buffy Angel fan.
Is she really?
Buffy Angel fan. She asked to take a picture. She was like, "Can I take a picture with you?" I was like, "What?"
That is the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
She's really good friends with Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell. They're like best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know you and Elizabeth Berkley need to get together because Elizabeth is into skin like you. Very into skin and health and all of that. I think the two of you would just completely bond. I wanted to talk about technical things, but I'm not feeling compelled. I don't know. What did you think of the set designs, like the master layer? And we talked about the language. We talked about some of the expressions, like the Wiggins and, this time when Buffy is in the Bronx for the first time and Giles is in there also. And she's like, "So you like to party with the students? Isn't that kind of skanky?" Like, I just love how the show is just so irreverent. But then Angel is introduced, right? He's this dark, gorgeous man who you tried to steal from me, rude. And I just was curious, what is your type? Like, what's Darla's type of man? Was it Angel? Was Angel for you? Do you feel like he was your soulmate?
Oh, wow. I think it's a multi-layered question. I think in Darla's mind, she created Angel. Like, she made him a vampire, obviously. So she was like his mother and his lover all rolled into one. And she honestly believed that he was her soulmate. Like, she believed that. But I think her real soulmate was Lindsay, Christian Kane.
Yeah.
Because
they're both evil.
But they also have so much. They're not evil. They're misunderstood.
No, not evil. Like, I know you're being defensive of your character. I'm sorry, but I think wronged. They've been wronged by the world,
right?
Right.
And they bonded over that. Like they really had that real, like a deep bond. Also, he's a really good kisser. I I had to kiss him.
Who is?
Christian
Kane?
Yes, we had to.
Did you
kiss
hear
in
that,
a
Christian?
Scene.
We're talking about you.
We had to kiss in a scene, and he was like, and he was a little nervous. I was like, just kiss me how you would just kiss like on a date. Like just kiss me that way, right? Don't be nervous. Like just kiss me. Just grab me and kiss me for real. We go to do the take. They're rolling. He grabs me and he kisses me, and I mean, I had a hot flash. I was like, oh wow. I was like, that was amazing. Don't do that again.
Don't ever kiss me like that ever again. Like, I'm a married woman.
Yeah, I was like, don't kiss me for real. That was good.
That was good. She says really in like Scooby-Doo voice.
The whole crew was laughing.
That was good.
It was really like funny. I was like, okay, wow, that was
well
too good
noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. But I do think that Lindsay and Darla were more soulmates than Darla and Angel, even though like she really wanted Angel to be her soulmate. But I think it's hard when he's your child and also your lover.
Yeah, that's a bit icky.
Yeah.
It's a little icky.
You're asking a lot of your kid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, but apparently, Connor was my stepson and Angel. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're not even supposed to be talking about these episodes, but to that end, it was really icky that as a stepmother, I ended up having a love relationship with Connor in season 4 of Angel, but we don't go there about that season of Angel. It just didn't happen. Do you remember working on the first day of the opening scene when, you're introduced as the big baddie? Do you remember what time of night you were shooting that scene? And it was obviously, you would have done it exterior and interior. So when you were shooting the exterior breaking into the high school, do you know what time of night that was? Because those things are very vivid for me. No, you don't remember?
I don't remember. I don't.
Oh. I mean, it was a vampire show. We shot so many hours. I'm sure it was probably at like 5:45 in the morning before the sun came up, knowing our crew, right? Well, going back to the tomb, do you know the actor that played Luke? You sent me a video. You're like, oh my God, I loved this. She was going to sacrifice. I love this scene. Where
Brian Thompson?
Right. Yeah. Do you know anything about his acting history?
I think he was a stunt guy who became an actor, right?
Let me inform you.
Okay.
Listen to this man. As Luke the vampire and right-hand man to the master, can we give him his flowers? He had to deliver these lines, and like the lines are, a plague of boils, the race of man covered the earth. But on the third day of the newest light will come the harvest, when the blood of men will flow as wine, when the master will walk among them once more. The earth will belong to the old ones, and hell itself will come to town. And try saying that with prosthetic teeth. First of all, a what of boils? What did you like? I could not believe the things that they were making him saying. It's sort of like saying "Hasta la vista, baby," like Terminator having to say that, or having to say "I'll be back." Like those lines, those iconic lines, are so hard to say believably. What are some standout lines that you may or may not have noticed that you loved in the first episode? Were any of them by chance mine?
I don't
like, what's your childhood trauma?
Oh yes,
or hello, salty goodness.
I love what's your childhood trauma. I didn't realize that was in the first episode because
I didn't either. I didn't remember that.
A lot of fans, like when we do conventions together, it comes up a lot. People always say that that's their favorite Cordelia line, and so I didn't realize that was a line from the first episode.
I didn't either. I didn't know because I was looking at this and it said, God, what's your childhood trauma? Excuse me. I have to call everyone I've ever met right now.
Yeah.
Hello, salty goodness. When I'm talking about, I mean, I need to start using those lines.
Yeah.
When I see,
Yeah.
I'm down in New York. There's lots of
There's lots of salty
goodnesses.
goodness walking around.
Yes, there are. Willow, glad to know you've seen The Softer Side of Tears. Don't you have an elsewhere to be? That is like such a great line. Morbid much, and nobody cool has Epstein Barr anymore.
I think
silly.
you should spend a day walking around New York City,
just doing
saying these
dialogue
lines to people. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I should. Whenever somebody's rude to me, I go, what's your childhood trauma? That would be funny. My favorite Darla line and quote, because you don't remember.
I don't
wrote
remember.
It down. I would never remember it either, but I wrote it down. Is there anything better than a natural disaster? The panic, the people lost in the streets? It's like picking fruit off the vine. You're talking about humans, Darla.
It is. It is. I mean, vampires thrive in natural disasters.
Unfortunately. Do you remember your audition scene? Did you audition for Buffy? That's the most important question of this entire. Did you audition for Buffy?
Of course I did.
Thank you. Okay, so it is confirmed that I'm not the only one who ended up working on the show who was not cast as Buffy that got a job on the show still.
Right.
Because I'm so tired of being asked that. Do you get asked that?
Oh, I get asked. So, because I made a mistake years ago in an interview, I made a mistake saying that I originally auditioned for Buffy, and that's how I met Joss. And Joss, no, and then somebody else came forward and said that I was very close to getting the role of Buffy, which was not true. I was not close to getting the role of Buffy. Joss introduced me to the people at Fox, and then they literally sat there in the room and said I was too old to play Buffy, which was true because they wanted Buffy to be 15 and I was 24. I don't know. I was 21, 22, 23.
Yeah, but you looked like you were 15. Isn't that the point? I mean, I was 20
but I didn't have the sensibility for it. And I think like honestly, Sarah was perfect. Like she's the perfect Buffy.
Yeah. No question about it. But what is so difficult for me often is I'll get that question from journalists and it's like, it's almost as if they're trying to spur some kind of like angst between the two of us, which I find so frustrating.
I always say I was one of 1,000 people to audition for the role.
Correct.
And that is just how I happened to meet Joss. And he liked the choices that I made in the character with the audition, but they weren't necessarily aligned with the Buffy that they wanted. But he liked what I did, and so therefore offered me Vampire Girl #1 because it wasn't even Darla at the time. So
it was just Vampire Girl #1.
Yep.
And look at you now, just milk that little Vampire Girl #1 all the way through across 2 iconic television shows. Summing, how many episodes have you done in all? 27, 35? How many? So many.
I don't know. I don't remember.
So many episodes. So when you were just talking a moment ago about your choices, I know you went to Tisch. I know you went to acting school at Tisch. What is your like? Are you Method? Are you Meisner? Are you Stanislavski or Uta Hagen? Who are what is your style of acting?
I mean, I was trained in Meisner technique and method acting. I am of the mindset I just use whatever, right? Like whatever is going to work is what I use. I don't actually follow a full-on method. It's a toolbox, right? Anytime you learn about acting, it's a toolbox. You're given tools. And sometimes you don't need the tools because you're perfectly aligned with the character and you know what the instincts are and you know how to, like, you don't have to do much. And then sometimes you need a hammer. So you go to your toolbox and you root around and you find your hammer And the hammer it might be too big at first, and you're like, oh no, I need a smaller hammer. So then you root around again in your little toolbox, and you find the perfect hammer, and then that's how like you play. So I don't necessarily like I wouldn't
subscribe
say
to a way.
No, and I think every method offers you something different. Like Meisner is really all about listening and reacting, right?
And imagination.
And
imagining the position,
the imaginary
you're in.
circumstances,
suspending belief. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Stanislavski is more about, what's your childhood trauma? So I pretty much work a hybrid. I mean, I think with, like with Darla specifically, Vampire Girl #1, I, up to that point, had never played a so-called evil character. And so I was really nervous about, and since I didn't audition for that part, I didn't really know like what they were expecting from me. So when I was going through all the makeup tests, one time I had the prosthetic on, and I went into the ladies' room to use the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror and I smiled, and I thought to myself, oh, that's really creepy. And so I said, I'm going to do that on set, like in the character. I'm going to make her have fun, be joyful, be this joyful, fun vampire with this smile. Because when I smile, the prosthetic and the teeth, it looks really scary. And so, and I
agree.
I knew some older actors that had played some aliens on the different Star Treks, and they had said to me, they had stressed to me the importance of allow the prosthetic to do the job. Like the prosthetic is really taking off your plate the playing evil part. You actually don't have to focus on that because the prosthetic's doing that.
Don't push. Interesting.
So I thought, I'll just take the reverse and just like have some fun, because when I looked in the mirror and smiled, I was like, whoa, who is that? Right?
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. One of the scenes when you were in the bronze with Eric Balfour and you end up biting him and kill him dead. One of the things that you're in that chair that swivels, and you're just like really smiley and like, I don't know. And you have this big smile. You have such a sweet, adorable, cute, coquettish smile. Like it's so sweet, but you're also like mysterious. You know there's something more going on behind the eyes and in the heart. Like you're a dangerous woman. You draw people in with this like make you feel at ease Southern girl, but like with the Darla, and in the end, you end up taking him over. You knew what you were doing, and that read so clearly when you were in character. I think a lot of people forget that you were also in, was it As Good as It Gets with Jim?
Yes.
With Nicholas, James, oh my gosh.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, hello. I mean, you kind of had that same flirty little girl, like, oh, Mama, I'm so excited to meet you. Hi. It was so cute. And then like, you end up eating, not
I didn't
Jack
eat
Nicholson's
Jack.
character. You didn't eat Jack, but Eric Balfour, like as Darla,
yes.
you applied that. Let me reel you in, and then attack. I love that. It was so great, and I remembered thinking when I saw the mask over your nose, because there's like a side view. Because I tend to look at things in a more technical way now, and I didn't even realize this. But I felt like I sensed that your vision would be limited, that it would because the broadness of the nose, it would be hard to see. And also contact lenses, what you were saying before, I totally identify with. And the lens tech, like those lenses were particularly thick. I mean, there's just
thick.
so much to do with character work around prosthetics, around.
Well, also when you're wearing a prosthetic, and I think this is why I don't have a lot of memories. Like I honestly don't remember a lot from Buffy. I remember more from Angel because I didn't wear the prosthetic as much. But on Buffy, I was in the prosthetic for days and days and days and days. And all my downtime, I'm being poked and prodded and like because they just keep working on the prosthetic, and it's like I have more memories of that than I do of the actual scenes in the work, because
That makes sense.
Constantly,
Tweaking.
And then like the first lens technician they had, he tore the
Sean?
prosthetic multiple. No, it was before Sean. They had somebody else.
Okay.
Because Sean was the good one. He was the one that could just literally walk by and just slide it into your eyeball, and he can avoid the press. Like, he was great. But there was they had somebody in the beginning who would tear the prosthetic, and then I would get stressed, and then I couldn't keep my eye open to let him put his finger in my eye, and then I ended up wearing the lenses like for 16-hour days because it was too hard to take them out and then put them back in, because he would tear the press. So it was, and then they brought in the Sean, who was much better and could literally just take them in and out and keep me calm, because I knew like I would get stressed, like, oh God, the prosthetic for now, they're going to have to go repair. It's going to hold up camera. Like, it was, so those were my memories of that time, was just of hair, makeup, contact lenses. Like, it was a lot.
That sounds like a lot. It sounds like so much. And then to try to remember to hit your mark, like, especially if you can't see it. Not that you have to remember to hit your mark, but like, you can't see it. And then your dialogue, and you're stressed, and it's just the conditions in which you're being, you're having to overcome to perform. It's incredible. And you did it beautifully.
And then, over time, the removal of the prosthetic, they would take it off, and my face would have like welts on it because I'd become allergic. And so then it was like trying to figure out what I was allergic to, finding a new product that they could use. It would take like an hour and a half just to take it off, because they'd have to go so slowly because my skin was so raw. And there'd be days where I'm like, can't I just go home in it, because I'm coming back tomorrow? Can't I just,
which is in 3 hours?
Yeah,
because I have a first call.
Can't I just wear it home and like
go to bed? I promise I'll sleep with a silk pillow.
Yeah, I know during that first episode, and I don't remember what scene it was or why it happened, but they took off the prosthetic, and I was in the prosthetic first for like the first half of the day, and then they took it off, and they were supposed to put me into beauty makeup and then shoot me later. And when they took off the prosthetic, my face was so inflamed and my eyes were like swollen that they actually, and I've never had this happen before or since, they sent me home, and they had a driver take me home. They were so concerned about my face. And I felt really bad. I was like, no, I can work. And I remember Josh looking at me going like, no, you're going to go home, and then we're going to call your wrap today. You're going to go home. We'll call you in the morning to see how you're doing. And I remember going like,
as he's looking at you like, to see how you're doing. I'm gonna run away now.
And they're like, and we're gonna drive you home. We're gonna leave your car here. And I was like,
we'll pick you up.
Oh, okay. And so, but they were really
at least
concerned.
He was concerned.
They were very concerned about my face. But I think it was just because they had taken it on and off too many times. So
how did you find out that you got the part of Vampire Girl #1? Do you remember? Did they beep you?
I think
we're old.
we all had beepers. I think my manager, I really don't remember. I think my manager called and was like, hey kid. My manager talked like Joe Pesci, right? He was like, hey kid, so that show, that Buffy show, well, you're not right for Buffy, but they want you to play another part, and I think it'll be good. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, yeah, it's like a vampire or something. I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I got the news.
Do you think that was a good move? Are you
Oh,
happy
definitely.
that he said, I think that'd be a good thing for you to do? Do you agree?
I was a struggling actress at the time. I was happy to be on a show, and I loved the script. I loved the writing, and I was excited to just be a part of it. Like, you know, and it was a new network, a new show on a new network. Like, you know, you just didn't know what was going to happen with it. And so I was super excited. I would do it again today. If they called and offered me Vampire Girl #1 today in the reboot, I'd say, hell yeah, I'll do it.
You would?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like I feel so incredibly blessed to have been a part of something so everlasting that spoke to so many people and in really profound ways that really created community among
Right.
people, that really gave people a safe place to escape to kind of escape the hardness of life or their bullying or their, you know, or like created bonds when, you know, it's difficult to connect with your parents. It was something that brought families together, literally.
Right.
Demons and monsters. Who knew?
You know, I used to say, and I still believe this, it was so great to be a part of a show where the fans were just as passionate about it as we were making it. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of shows that have that passion from the fan base. And to be a part of a show that I don't even, how many years later is it? Oh God.
Like 27 or something?
27 years later.
Maybe 28, I'm not sure.
And the global community that has grown out of it, that started with posting board parties and conventions and then like all of that, like just that whole global community of fans is incredible. It's incredible. You don't have, there's not a lot of shows that have that.
True.
Yeah,
and it means so much to the fans that we see that and know that and go, you know, like
wait, I want to read you something because just right before, let's see if I can find it. Right before coming on here to say hi to do the show, I got a message. You know, I get a ton of DMs on social media, just as I'm sure you do, and this one is beautiful. It says, "Hi, I hope this message reaches you. I'm going through an incredibly hard time in my life. I'm exhausted, overwhelmed, and most days I feel like I can't go on. Watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer is one of the only things that helps me hold on. Your work, every one of you, means more than I can say. You brought strength, emotion, and hope to the screen, and somehow it still reaches me today." Like 27 years later, we still get messages, you know, where the show means something. Like it's incredible.
Who knew? Who knew?
I know.
That it would this show would resonate so profoundly, so deeply for all this time, that people want to name their kids after your character or you personally, that they're passing it on to their children. And there's going to be a new show, a new reboot, and they're going to pass it on to their, like, it's just an incredible legacy. And to be a part of it and included and have fans send messages like that it gets me right in the heart. And it's just, I didn't sign up for that. Like, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but like when I signed up for it, like you, I was like hungry and dying to be creative, dying. And that's what being in your purpose does. It literally lifts up other people through storytelling. And it's an incredibly like awe-inspiring experience. It's just crazy.
I do want to address one thing though, is nobody is naming their kid Darla. Nobody.
No, that's not true. I bet you there is.
No.
We're going to take a poll. We're going to take a poll and we're going to find out.
Do you know how many Cordelias
Gregory, take
I've
a
met
note.
and how many charismas I've met that have been inspired by you? And not one person. I met one person who named their cat
They're named Julie.
Darla. No.
That's it. I have lots of Cordy cats out there. That is their child. What are you talking about?
Well,
Fur babies are
agree.
counting as children.
I do agree that Darla is a great name for a cat because Darla had 9 lives. It makes perfect sense. But there are not a lot of there's not a lot of Darlas running around that were named after Darla from Buffy and Angel. I'm just letting you know, there's not.
We'll have to see how it we'll have to do a child welfare test on whoever names their kid Darla, because do you think you're a good actress?
No, I don't know.
Yes, you do.
No,
Is it hard for you to brag about your abilities, or is it hard for you to say You're
gonna make me cry. It's all I know is I work hard. That's it. Like, I know I'm a really hard worker, and I work hard and I commit. I don't know if that comes off as good or bad or what. But I work really hard at it. And I'm not a natural, like, I'm not naturally talented. Like, I'm not like listen, I had to go to acting
Who told
school.
you that?
It's true. It's the truth. I had to take lots and lots of acting classes to really understand what it is I'm trying to do and break down a lot of my own personal walls to be able to play characters. I had to work really hard at it. There's some people where it's just natural. Like, you look at Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, he could read a phone book and we would be mesmerized by it. I don't have that thing. I have to.
Hold on. I need to interject here.
No, it's true. It's true story. True story.
I'm going to listen. I believe you that you believe that's true. But I'm going to, for a second, if you can put a pin in those thoughts and hear me out.
Okay.
Because you understand your process, or it took you a while to find your process, to feel comfortable with what it is you're about to perform, does not mean, though, that it doesn't come naturally to you. It just meant that you needed to find your process to do that. Because when I see you on screen, when I see you on set, go to do your job, I see the transition. I see that, and that you can be a hard worker. It doesn't mean that it didn't come naturally to you to embody that, to believe. That's what it is. If you're able to actually believe in the moment, whatever the circumstances are, that is acting. That is. And if you're able to do that and not feel self-conscious, not feel like, ooh, I can't, like, start putting walls up like that, like, I feel like then maybe not. But you just said yourself that you're able to do that.
Yeah,
and that
but
as it relates to,
it took me a while because I started at 13, and it took me a while to let go.
But we're always doing that. We're always growing.
Yeah.
We're always growing and learning more about ourselves. That doesn't mean, though, that you're not good or that it doesn't come naturally. I think anything worth having involves hard work and self-reflection and, discipline and understanding process. I think process is so important. I really do. I think, like, talent is just, it's almost not even quantifiable. Like, what is talent? Well, I don't know what talent is. Like, either I like it or I don't. It's like art. Is that good art? Is a Jackson Pollock painting art? Or
right.
is, a Van Gogh art? What is art? What is it? It's literally, though, do I believe you? Do I believe what you're doing and saying is
right.
your truth? Yes.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I think is good. I think you're brilliant. I think you're an exceptionally talented actor, and you work hard, and you do the work within yourself to tear down walls that would prevent you from being able to connect better with your scene partner or your part.
Right. I think too, it depends on the role too. Like on Dexter, when I went on to Dexter, all the actors were from New York City. They were all, they were all New York actors, and I was like the LA actress. And I remember when I first started on the show, I was like, I'm going to be a serious actress on this set. I'm going to be very serious. I'm going to not joke around. I'm going to be serious. And I felt super awkward and stiff. And I had to understand that part of my process being comfortable on set is joking with the crew, having a laugh, like being that, but like on Dexter, everybody was very serious. The actors were. So I couldn't engage them in silliness. It was always like the camera department. And it turned out we had the same camera department from Buffy and Angel, like a lot of the same team. So I knew them really well. So I would be sitting there joking around. They yell action, and then I'd burst into tears and do the scene and and I had to understand that that's how I stay relaxed and how I stay out of my head is by that. But yet some people would say, oh, well, she's, you don't take it seriously. You're always distracted. And it's like, no, that I actually do take it seriously, but this is my process. This is how I do it.
Right.
But I think it just depends on the role too. Like I know I'll tell you, in the beginning of Buffy, I really had no idea what I was doing. Like I didn't. I honestly feel like the years I spent playing Darla, it was like going to the best graduate school in the world, right? As an actor. They threw so much at us.
The conditions were
very extreme conditions.
Very testy.
But they threw so much at us. I felt like I was constantly being challenged, constantly
fighting, contacts, mouthpieces,
but
late
even
nights,
just
big monologues.
I had to sing. I had to ride a horse through fire. I was buried alive. I had to be in this period costume. Like it was literally like demanding. What I imagine going to graduate school was like. And I learned so much about acting during those years. I learned more during that show than I did at NYU. I'm not
That's
lying.
Incredible to say. I was thinking about what you were saying about how these actors are like New York actors. So they're like very upper crust, very serious. And I remembered thinking when I found out the backgrounds of the people that I was working with and that they had all gone to a proper school, and even Alexis went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And then I thought to myself, like, don't be intimidated. You're on the same set as them. I didn't go to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. I went to Playhouse West on Lancashire in the Valley, but I'm still here, and I think that it's so easy for us to talk ourselves out of success or to talk ourselves out of winning, to not really take in the fact that the universe is actually conspiring for us, and that we arrived and we are exactly where we're supposed to be at that time in that place. And to compare is to despair. And we're really not doing ourselves a favor at all by doing or behaving that way and talking mean about ourselves to ourselves, right? Like we need to. I
always think it's funny when other actors, because I've been on sets, especially younger. I mean, the only reason why I went to NYU was because my parents wouldn't allow me to move to LA to be an actor, right? So I had to get a college degree. So I got into NYU in their acting program. So I was able to fulfill that college degree that they were so insistent that I get, which I knew was going to mean nothing in the real world, and nothing in my world of what I wanted to do.
What did you major in for mom and dad?
Acting. Theater.
Oh, okay.
Acting, yeah. And they were willing to foot the bill for that, which was great. But I knew that it wasn't really me. It wasn't going to mean anything. At the end of the day, it never meant anything. you know, it didn't. It
I
just was like,
I disagree. I think having that on your resume, I think in some rooms it means something. I think it does. I think people are kind of
honestly,
snooty.
I thought maybe it would, and it really didn't. It really didn't mean anything. It meant that I went to college. That's
Wait,
about
did
it.
you ever get a job with somebody that also went to Tisch? Do you think at all like they were like, oh, this is a Tisch person, I want to give them?
No, that's never happened.
No?
Nope. So I just feel like you don't have to go to college. Like if I were to redo it, and I tell this to young people all the time, like especially because universities now are so expensive. It's like, don't go into debt to get an acting degree. If you want to go to college, study business, study marketing, because that is part of our job, what we have to do, and take acting classes on the side. There are so many great acting teachers in Los Angeles, in New York. You don't have to pay the tuition to get the BFA. It doesn't, unless you plan on going and getting a master's degree. But even then, like, you don't have to do that. If you want to go to college, study something else. Study English. Study.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Study investment.
You want to be able to know good writing and storytelling and be able to identify that for sure.
And then take acting classes on the side, because I don't necessarily think. I mean, listen, some of the stuff we did at NYU was just silly. It was silly. It's like,
if you weren't an actor, what would you be?
I was going to say bored.
Miserable?
Bored, miserable.
I don't know if you remember telling me this, but you told me when even like I do not think the audition process is of service to casting or producers at all. I think the whole process is an absolute sham. There's nothing supportive or great about it that helps anybody. Actually, if you're a great auditioner, you can actually be terrible on set or vice versa. Like, I just think the whole process is really more about intestinal fortitude than it is anything else. But one of the things that I remember kind of having a conversation with you about was you and I were having a conversation about it. I don't know if I was having a hard time with an audition or whatever. And you perkily said, ooh, you get to act tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was stunned by that reaction. Like, wait, you like auditioning? You don't mind auditioning?
I love it.
You don't find it a horrendous? I can't believe you're saying that right now. I cannot think of anything more painful than in the audition process. It is just...
I love it.
You are... I don't even know what to make of that. It's just so unusual to meet somebody that says that.
And it's like, it's true, because I always, actors are the biggest complainers. Let's first say it. Like we'll sit around and complain about how we don't have work. And then we get an audition and then we say we don't like the audition. But an audition is an opportunity to be an actor. You get to go in front of people and perform. Like, I love that.
Which is what we love. Right?
I love
so
it,
that
right?
mentality, the way you saw it, gave me an absolute perception shift. Like, my perspective on it, the outlook on it, my attitude toward it changed everything. And I haven't worked since.
Well, auditions have changed now, which I'm not a fan of the self-tape, to be honest. I recently had
a lot of unpaid labor.
Yeah, and you have to produce, direct, light,
edit.
It's a whole
sound.
Right. So, but I did recently have my first in-person audition in 5 years. My first time back in the room. And
Get out.
I took every moment and I was like,
hallelujah.
Are we coming back?
Did you get it?
I got very close. I did not get the part.
I didn't.
I got
Damn
very
them
close.
curses.
But it felt God, it was what my soul needed. It was like,
I love that for you.
because I like acting in front of people. I don't want to act by myself. Like when I shoot my self tapes, I hate it. Self tapes are just I like the adrenaline that I get. I like that we're like, you have that moment where you're like, am I going to start speaking Chinese or a different language? Like, what's going to come out of my mouth? Like that little bit of fear. Like, am I going to forget how to speak English all of a sudden? Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I love that. I love that feeling. And I don't have that when I'm doing
by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's that's so fascinating to me that you love it so much. And I have, benefited from that point of view, just so you know. But I had an audition, not lately, but like last year toward the end of the year, and it was on video, and it was the first time that it was like live. And it wasn't a self-tape. I mean, it was still on Zoom, but it was still a live audition.
I hate those. I hate the Zoom audition.
But I did so well. I was so excited that when I got off the phone, it's like, even if I don't get the part, I still feel really proud of the work that I did. And one of the things that somebody had asked me in my comment section was like, what advice would you give to actors? And I was just like, keep going and stay in class. And why I think staying in class is kind of along the same lines of auditioning is, whenever you don't get an audition or you have a bad audition, you still have all the work you've been doing in class and all the other like scenes that you put up that did go well to keep you going, to remember you're not as bad as you think you are. You're not as bad as your last audition. You're not as bad as that last rejection. It's just a numbers game. It could be your hair color or whatever. Like, it's just arbitrary. But when you have a bad audition or it doesn't go well and you think that you're terrible, you want to stay in class to keep working your craft so that you can build more confidence and trust that you are not your last audition.
Right.
I love that.
And I also, I look at it as every audition, whether you get the part or not. And listen, I audition, there's a lot of parts I don't get. Like, there's a lot. But every audition is a drop in the bucket, right? So you might not get that part, but that producer might have another project down the line and be like, you know what?
It's a butterfly effect.
Yeah. So every opportunity to act is another drop in the bucket. And sometimes my reps get a little crazy with me because they'll be like, we want you to say no, or we think this should be an offer only. And I'm like, let me audition. Let me do it. Let me be an actor. And they'll be like, well, we don't think, and I'll be like, hey, let me do it. Like, whether I get it or not.
Well, you must really like the material then or something. Yeah. Or you just, it doesn't matter. You want to read because you want that under your belt.
I just think listen, I'd rather be acting than sitting on my couch talking about acting. You know what I mean?
This is important work, Julie.
No.
This is important work, what we're doing now.
Wait, I don't mean this. I mean, just saying, sitting on my couch and complaining about being an actor. I'd rather be an actor. I'd rather just be like, I don't care if it's 3 lines or 3 scenes or whatever. This is what we signed up for, to be an actor.
Correct.
By the way, there's no way around the audition process. So,
nope.
I always felt like the sooner I accept that this is it.
No matter what level you're on either.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't even matter what level. Everybody has the level of the person that they're auditioning against. Amanda Seyfried is going to audition against Anne Hathaway. They're kind of, they were both in Les Miserables. That's what came to my head. But I'm thinking, they're on very high levels. They're still going to have to audition because they're auditioning, right?
Right. So it's
unless you're Dame Judi Dench, and then they just give it to you.
They send you a script with $10,000 to read it.
Just read it. Please spend the 2 hours. Please, ma'am. Please read my script, please. What's your best day on set ever, and why?
My best day on set ever, and it is really about my personal life, not so much about the job. But when I was on Defiance, and it was my wedding. And I don't know if you remember, I had to work up until Thursday, and I was flying back home to LA to get married on
I
that
was a bridesmaid.
Saturday. Yeah, and then had to return back on Monday to finish filming. And I remember being on set on Thursday, and I fighting aliens. Like I'm in like combat gear with a machine gun, and I'm fighting these aliens. And they didn't know if they were going to get me out.
And a killer braid.
They didn't know if I was going to get out in time to make my flight. Like I had two flights. I had a Thursday night flight and a Friday morning flight. And they said, you will definitely be on the Friday morning flight, but they didn't know if they could get me out for the Thursday night flight. They wrapped me, and I literally, the car was waiting for me, and I'm like literally undressing as I'm running off set, and the crew is cheering, and everybody's like, go get married.
God, I have chills.
Go
I have
get
chills.
married. We'll see you on Tuesday. And everybody's cheering and high-fiving me, and I'm racing to my trailer and like taking off the combat gear, and like just everything's like flying behind me, and I'm racing like, and I made the flight. And I just remember thinking like, wow, that was like incredible. Like it was just such an incredible moment, like of working, and like I love my job,
feeling supported
and so supportive, and like the cheering. I mean, they cheered my car as like the car was taking, like as we were driving off the set. Like it was amazing. And then racing to the airport and running through and getting on the plane, and and I remember because on the plane I was with Jamie Murray. She was on that flight, and she was also a bridesmaid. And we had a lot of turbulence on the flight, and we were sitting next to each other. And I remember sitting there going, it was really bad. Like the turbulence was really bad. And I thought, oh, wow.
I shouldn't have been on this flight.
And I thought,
I wish I missed this flight.
I thought, if this plane goes down, well, I know that I loved my job. I loved my husband, like my future, like there's poetry in this, right? Like
your heart is full.
Yeah. It was like, this is probably the best years of my life happening right now. And if this were to happen, like, I'm at peace. I've done everything. Like I've achieved, you know what I mean? And the plane landed. It didn't go down, but it was that moment where it was like, oh my God.
That's a moment. Girl, that is a moment.
Yeah.
That is one hell of a story. I love that. I love that story for you. That's an incredible day on set for sure. And I love that when there's an amalgamation of professional and personal support, where people that you're working and spending so much time with on the job are also rooting for you in your personal life and are a part of your personal life. They know what's happening. They know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get out on a plane. They know you're getting married. They're like, it's just great. And the people that you're working with, that Jamie was one of your co-stars, and then she was in the wedding. It's just, being able to, that's one of the things that comes up a lot about people that work together is like, oh, actors are always dating actors, or their friends they always only know other famous people. It's really just a result of proximity and the incredible amount of time that you're spending with people that, I mean, it just seems natural that you would gravitate or bond with people that you're in the trenches with. And acting, you're in the trenches, especially on Buffy and Angel. Incredible hours, and Defiance as well. Special effects on that show.
But I'll tell you, I never worked as hard on a show as I did on Buffy and Angel.
Why do you say that?
Because the hours were so brutal on Buffy and Angel. And on Defiance, they weren't as bad. We did like 13, maybe 13 and a half hour days.
Including hair and makeup?
Well, I was normal. I didn't have prosthetics. So,
but you didn't still have to go through 2 hours of hair and makeup just for beauty and braid?
Why do you think I wore my hair in a braid? So I wouldn't have to.
Because you are no fool.
I'm no fool. But I think that I mean, the crew hours were 13, I think like 13 and a half. But like on Buffy and Angel, we were clocking in 18, 19-hour days. Um, that
People were not making it.
That was the
home.
toughest show. Yeah, that was really the
Yeah.
toughest show. So whenever I'm on a show and actors are complaining and I'm like, you work like 13, like you work
Listen,
13
Linda.
and a half hours. Yeah. It's like, go work on Buffy and Angel
But here's the thing about that. What I find interesting about the new generation and what I'm finding to be true in general is why? Why did you allow that? Why is that some badge of honor that you worked 19 hours in a day? There's no life work balance. I mean, obviously we are not in charge of that, but it is just sort of like a shift in perspective where I would take pride in the fact of that. And like, I know how to work hard. I'm not afraid of hard work. I will show up. I will do this. But then there's the other question that younger generations are kind of like, but why? Why would you put yourself through that? Why would you work so many hours so you don't have a love life? And then next thing you know, you never had time to meet the love of your life. You never had time to make a family. You were just at a job that then fired you.
Right.
Because to the job and to that company, you don't mean much. And I wonder if there isn't a balance that we could better achieve or arrive at, somewhere where it's.
I do think, I mean, I hope it's evolving more. I feel like younger generations I feel like, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I'm hoping it evolves more. I mean, I remember driving to Dexter set one time and having, being really sick, and like I had to drive all the way down to Long Beach, and I was puking the whole way as I'm driving myself. And it was one of those early morning shoots, and I couldn't get in touch with anybody, and so I just drove myself down there throwing up. And they once I got there and they realized how sick I was, I shot one scene. It was outside. They made sure nobody was with the kids and Dexter, and they made sure that they kind of spaced them far enough away because they didn't want anybody to get sick. And I was standing next to a trash can in the scene the whole time, and I would throw up in between takes. And then they canceled the rest of my day. They called other actors in. They rescheduled. I was worried about having to drive home. And
Did they drive you home?
I ended up sleeping for a couple hours, and then they drove me home, and they drove my car home for me. But yeah, it was good. But it was like, why did I think like I should have just stayed home? Like, I think that was like, they were like, why did you? And I'm like, well, because I was first one in the morning. Like, I was the first scene of the day. Like, I didn't know.
I mean, that's the way we were raised.
Yeah.
It just feels like that's the way we were raised. Like, this is just what you do. And, it's kind of like programmed in your head. And I'm just hopeful, that going forward, that there is a change of heart in that regard.
I have heard on some sets that some of the younger generation, they'll call in and say they're not coming into work because they need a mental health day. I have heard that's going on, which is good.
I can't ever imagine saying that, even though I can think of several times I would have benefited from that. Yeah. But I can't imagine there ever being a world where that would go over well at all at my job.
Yeah.
At the time, back then. All right, my last question, because we are way over time, and I'm so appreciative of your time. This is what I wanted to ask you. I spend a lot of time thinking about legacy. What would you want your legacy to be, Julie Benz?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think about legacy. I think I'm going to live forever.
You don't think about legacy?
I don't. I really don't. I mean, I think that your legacy is the people you touch and affect in life. And for me, it's my nieces and nephews. It's Claire's kids. It's all the younger people who I encounter and try to elevate and treat with kindness, and you know what I mean. I don't think about
What
I
you're
don't
leaving
really-
behind? How
no, I don't think about it
No,
that
I think you
much.
do. I think you do. You kind of touched on it, which is just elevating the generation behind you and
Yeah,
bringing them
and
up
just-
and
yeah.
being kind and supportive. I think you are one of those people, and you certainly have been in my life. And I am eternally grateful for all of the spoken and unspoken ways you have raised me, mentored me, lifted me up, inspired me. And I'm so grateful for your support and being on the show and talking to me about, you know, all of the beautiful things that we shared about today. I love you so much. One last thing too, behind
I'm
you.
so excited for you. The bitch is back. The bitch is
The
back.
bitch is back!
The bitch is
The
back.
bitch is back, baby!
Yay!
Yay! You have a hummingbird behind you.
I do.
My
And
mom.
by the way,
That's my
but by
mom.
the-
That's a message from my mom.
But by the way, I don't know if you noticed, I kept looking out this way. There were 2 hummingbirds
You're going to make
right
me
here.
cry.
outside my window.
No.
Like 2 of them right here. And I was looking
You know what
at
that
them.
means?
Yeah. Yeah.
She approves.
She approved. She's here. Hi, Mom. But they were like flying. They were just
Mom.
right here, and I kept
No
like going
way.
like, "This is so." I'm in this.
Oh my God.
I'm in this room a lot during work, and first time I've seen them, they're like literally right up, looking in the window at me.
I have yet one time in August of last year in Sag Harbor, I saw a hummingbird. I've never seen a hummingbird in real life. So anytime, and I keep asking my mom, please show me a sign. Please show up. Please, please,
Well-
please. And you turn on your camera, and it's not a live hummingbird, but there's literally like humming. And people keep telling me, no, Charisma, it doesn't matter if you see it on Instagram. It doesn't matter if you see a picture of it. It doesn't matter. Like if you see a hummingbird, that's your mom. She is present. She is letting you know. She is here. She is supporting and all the things. I'm going to cry. But
she also told me that she doesn't like New York City, is what she said. She would prefer you coming back to LA. That's what she said. That's also how I'm interpreting
maybe
it.
Maybe I'll have a winter house in LA. I don't know if I ever will come back to LA though. I don't know. You're just gonna have to come to New York. I love you.
I know. I love you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, friend. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening and watching The Bitch is Back with Charisma Carpenter, powered by Patreon. Patreon is an incredible partner who, without this podcast would not be possible. And there are other people I should mention as well. My very first guest and dear friend, Julie Benz. Also, a special thanks to my partner in crime and co-producer, Gregory Litley, my entertainment lawyer, Mike Sword, my friends Catherine McLeod and Mark Schaefer, Phineas, Chris, and Will at Studio Friends, and other friends of the pod, such as Bob, who I know is going to hate being called out, but Bob, I said your name out loud. And Sarah, who helps so much with the structure of the show. And finally, my reason for everything, my son, Donovan, as well as our dog, Chris, the very cutest little lamb you ever did see, and the mascot of the show. You are all invited to subscribe to my Patreon page at patreon.com/Charisma Carpenter, where behind the paywall, you can experience full episodes, exclusive clips, bonus interviews, and content, bloopers, and basically unprecedented access to all things me. As always, you can keep up with me on Instagram, kind of, good luck, at Charisma Carpenter, and on TikTok at Charisma_Carpenter. So what it comes down to is basically this. You flirted with me on social media, and now we're getting married on Patreon. I'll see you there.